I've been in the online coaching space for 7 years, and in that time, I've sold €7 products, I've sold €6,000 coaching programs, I've sold €22,000 corporate deals. And in this video, I'm going to share everything I know and everything I wish I knew about pricing when I started out in the online coaching space 7 years ago. But first, I want to give you a little bit of context as to why I decided to record this video. So a few weeks ago, I had a client of mine, a sports psychologist in Ireland. We worked together for 6 months, and throughout his 6-month coaching journey, we added €50,000 in new revenue to his business. Now, this was a huge achievement for my client and also for me as his coach and business mentor. And I shared his video on my YouTube channel just 3 or 4 weeks ago. But something really interesting and something that you might not expect listening to this video happened to me. And I sat down with my client. We agreed to do an interview where he was happy to share the financial wins that he had had. And we recorded a video together on Zoom, and he knew it was being posted and he was happy for it to be posted. Yet when I posted it, I noticed that somewhere in me, there was a little bit of anxiety, there was a little bit of worry, and there was this kind of irrational fear that he was going to text me and tell me to take the video down, which is kind of crazy considering he was delighted with the results. We'd, discussed doing this. We hit record on a video together. I mean, he was completely aware and on board of what we were going to do and how we were going to share his results. But somewhere in my psyche, probably from my conditioning, from my childhood, from how I grew up, there was this kind of sense of maybe guilt or shame, where I felt a little bit ashamed or a little bit guilty because the people who I grew up with and the household that I grew up in was a very hard-working household, and the values of hard work, the values of an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, the value of money doesn't grow on trees, this kind of stuff was really, really sunk deep into me as a kid and as a teenager and as a young adult growing up. And I guess, adding a lot of money to someone's business in such a short time frame, when everyone I grew up with, my family, my friends, most of them, would never make that kind of money in a year, never mind 6 months. So I guess there was a little bit of guilt or shame about just sharing that and feeling like, these people work so hard. And that's something in me. And I know that I am not the only one that has a little bit of a reaction sometimes around pricing and money. And again, for 95% of us, we will have this because we grew up in working class backgrounds. We grew up with a scarcity or a negative mindset towards money. And this shows up and it affects us in everything that we do, but it affects us in pricing. And so that experience I shared with my client community, and I wanted to just share a little bit of pricing information and also sharing why you should charge more money and why you should not be afraid to increase your prices. I'm not going to say that there isn't going to be a little bit of fear and anxiety there when you do increase your prices, but I want to just give you the perspective I now have on pricing and money in online coaching businesses and the role that plays for you as a business owner and also for your clients, so that you can, at the end of this video, go and charge more money for your service, but do it confidently and don't feel negative feelings about pricing yourself a little bit higher. Now, like I said, to get to this point, I've been in the game for 7 years. I've generated over €1 million in online sales, and it's taken me quite a while to get to the point where I am right now. But the first thing that I want to share with you regarding pricing is that pricing is part of the coaching process, and it is a very important part of the coaching process, and it's going to have a huge impact on the quality of results that your clients get and the level of commitment your clients have and how impactful and transformational and beneficial your program is, no matter what it is that you deliver. When we pay attention. How many times have you signed up for something free, right? You saw somebody's email list and you joined up and they said there was a free webinar or a free masterclass, and you said, yeah, I'm definitely going to attend. And then the day rolled around or the hour rolled around and you said, you know what, I've got better stuff to do, because you didn't pay. But if you paid for a one-to-one consultation with somebody, you would show up, right? There's no way you would be missing it, because you've paid for it and you're valuing it. And when we don't pay for things, we don't value them. And the best information on the planet is not utilized well when it is free, because people just don't have skin in the game. They don't have a painful enough punishment, I would say, for not doing the work, right? So if you pay attention. If you pay and you don't do the thing that you paid for, there is a punishment where you feel like you've wasted money. You feel like you've thrown money away. If it's something free, it doesn't matter if you use it or not. So that's the very first thing. And I've noticed in all of the clients that I have coached, the clients who pay more money, get better results, are happier overall, stay longer, refer more like them. They're much more enjoyable to work with. They're much more committed overall. A lot of them go on to excel in other areas of life. So the clients who did the best work with me when I was a fitness coach, many of them went on to actually become fitness coaches and trainers themselves. So they excelled and they leveled up. And the people who were paying lower rates, because I had a pure mess of pricing, honestly, back in the day, the people on lower rates, they just didn't value the program. So first and foremost, pricing is part of the program. It's part of the coaching. And if you want people to take your coaching seriously, if you want them to get great results, you have to actually price enough that it hurts them to not take action and that it scares them a little bit, right? Where they're like, I gotta make this work because I've invested a lot and I will feel like an idiot if I don't make a good use of this investment, and they probably would be an idiot not to make good use of the investment. So that's the first thing. Price is part of the coaching. Now, second, you might say, but Owen, okay, that's all well and good, but does that not mean that I'm going to lose a lot of clients? If I was to double my prices tomorrow, what about all the people who can't afford it? And what I would say to you here is price is not really a barrier. We think of it as a barrier. It's a barrier to people signing up. But what it actually is it's a filter. So it filters for the right people. It filters for the people who are committed. It filters for the people who have a budget. And again, those people are going to refer more people like them. So who do you want? You want committed clients with a budget who are all in on your program and that you enjoy working with. So price is going to filter for those people, and it's going to get rid of the time wasters for the most part. And I'm not saying that there are not committed people who don't have money, right? It's not like only people who have a budget are committed. Of course, there are people who will fall on both sides of the spectrum. There will be people who pay money, who don't take it seriously. There will be people who don't have a lot of money who would take it very seriously. So as always, there is no blanket rule for every single individual, but in general, and again, I've coached 700 people, probably more at this stage. I've been throwing that stat around for 6 months or a year now, so it's actually probably closer to 800 at this point. But I've coached and I've worked with a lot of people, and generally speaking, 90% of the time, the people who pay more money get better results, and the pricing filters the right people in. So it acts as a filter to make sure the right people are coming into the program. It keeps the standards high in the program. It keeps the results high in the program. It protects my community. It protects my sanity as well, because obviously I love to see my clients getting results, and working with people who are committed is absolutely amazing. Working with people who are not so committed and are very high maintenance for a low amount of money. This is the other thing as well around maintenance. Generally speaking, higher maintenance clients are clients who pay less. So they want and need more of you, or they're trying to get their value's worth or their money's worth. So they're constantly onto you. Whereas my very high level clients who pay the most amount of money, they communicate as much as they need, but not more, because they're busy. They value their time. They value my time. They don't want to be draining energy for both of us. They get what they need. They get the support they need. They get the answers they need. They get the next steps. They get the breakdown of their strategy, or they get a problem solved, and then they just go and implement. They're not being super needy and asking tons of questions. And again, the people who are paying less money tend to be the people who are very needy, constantly asking questions, constantly complaining, and just generally being poorer clients overall. So if you can filter those people out and filter in the people who are better fit for your program, who you love working with, that is always a good thing. Now, point number 3 is actually leverage. So price gives you leverage, and you mightn't have heard of this Before the first two you've probably heard of, right? I'm not the first person to say that to you, but price gives you leverage. And I want to give you an example of that. So I did a mastermind the other night on client retention. And one of the things that I talked about with the group was the fact that you can use what somebody has already paid as a piece of leverage to get them to stay in the business again. So for example, imagine you have a coaching program that's a 6-week starter program. And if I want somebody to join the 6-week starter program, I charge them, let's say, 600 euros, okay? Just as an example. They come in, they go through the 6 weeks, they have a great experience, and at the end of the 6 weeks, they have a decision to make. Are they going to stay in the program? Are they not going to stay in the program? Effectively, right? Those are the two decisions. There may be some other pathways. They may go for one-to-one support. They may go for less support. They may go for VIP support. But effectively, it's two choices. Leave the program, stay in the program. If they stay, there's a few options of how they can kind of move through the program. Staying is obviously what we want as business owners, right? So we want people to stay. Now, they've paid 600 euros for the first 6 weeks, for example. At the end of week 6, we can turn around and we can say, hey, you know what? You're a great client. We're working towards this long-term goal. I love working with you. I want to see you get the results. And I can see that you have everything it takes to be a massive success story. So what I would like to do for you is to offer you the 600 euros that you have already paid as credit towards the next 12 months of coaching. This is a one-time offer. If you say yes to it, you will immediately get the 600 euros you paid back into the next program. If it's not a good thing for you to do, then this opportunity won't exist and the 600 euros will be gone. So this is taking something that somebody has already paid and effectively discounting it. Now, I never discount publicly to people who are not clients because they haven't earned the right, and I don't think it's a good thing to do. But you can definitely give your clients a discount or a loyalty reward or bonus, and also a reward or bonus for like locking in a longer period of time. Now, if your prices start too low, you don't really have that leverage because say for example the next step up is a one-to-one program. You've got a 6-week program that is group coaching, right? 600 euros for group coaching for 6 weeks. Then at the end of the 6 weeks, you've got a 12-week coaching program, which is one-to-one VIP, lots of access, and that is 3,000 euros. You can now say, instead of paying 3,000 euros for the one-to-one coaching 12 weeks, you can reduce that by 600 and you can pay 2,400 for the next 12 weeks. On top of that, if you pay upfront, I can reduce that down to 2,000 euro. So you're able to make meaningful changes to that client where at the end of the 6-week block, they're looking at upgrading to a higher level of support with you and it's 3,000 euro. But you're then able to discount that right back down to 2,000 euro. And logically for your client, it's a great decision to stay because they're being able to reuse the 600 euro they've already paid. They get to use that again. And then if they go up front, they can get a further reduced rate. So there's a real incentive. But if your pricing is too low, or the other thing is if you only have one tier, which is a problem for a different video, you get stuck because you can't reduce the prices without ending up working for almost nothing. So having higher prices at the beginning and having different tiers with higher offerings allows you to actually reduce the investment for current clients who you want to work with, and it gives you leverage. It makes it easier for you to keep clients long term. And again, these clients are already bought in, they're great quality clients, they're the people that you want to work with. And pricing helps you keep them longer. Now, number 4 is kind of what I touched on right at the start. And by the way, I'm just dumping my thoughts here. If you like this, hit the link in my bio because I share my thoughts on my emails every single morning. It's one of the best parts of my day. And I give away absolutely everything that I am doing and using to bring my current business from 6 figures to 7 figures. And all of the mistakes, all of the stuff that works well, what is working now in real time. I don't batch create them. They're literally brain dumped with my cup of coffee in the morning. So hit the link, go and join, and you'll also get a breakdown of the model that we use to build a leveraged coaching business to 10K a month. Number 4, right, the one that I kind of alluded to at the start, pricing is basically all mental. People ask me, what should my price be? And honestly, it's really just a decision most of the time, because price is just a tag that's associated or attached to value. And whether it's 1,000, 10,000, 100, 500, price on its own means nothing, absolutely nothing. Price only means something with the context of the value that you're getting for what you pay. So for example, you can pay 50 euros for a coaching plan, right? Which is a PDF with a few recipes and a few workouts, and you can pay 50 euro for a 12-week coaching plan, okay? Is that good value? Maybe, I don't know, whatever you think. Usually these things don't work that well in terms of results, but maybe. You could add a zero and you could pay 500 euros for the same 12-week coaching plan plus check-ins every week throughout the 12 weeks with a coach. Again, the plan is effectively the same, but the value that you're delivering is more, because the value is the support, the accountability. Obviously, the knowledge and the kind of step-by-step process is valuable too, but you're adding value. And nobody would argue that 500 euro is an unfair price for coaching. Now let's add another zero. We go to 5 grand. Now, if it was 5 grand for check-ins, a nutrition plan, and a training plan, you know, I'm sure someone somewhere will buy it, but it's going to be a hard sell. However, what about if it was 5 grand? And the price, again, the price is never good or bad. It's never right or wrong. It's just, does the value equate to the price? Say, for example, you have the one-to-one check-ins, you have the plan, you have all of the training templates, but you also have 2 in-person sessions every week. The coach also does your food order for you every week. He also orders you your supplements every month. He also checks in and comes to see you at your house in person once a month to go through your setup with where your food is and how you're prepping and all of this stuff. All of a sudden, he can make that 5 grand become worth what the value is. And that's really the thing. So we just have to decide, but most of us are terrified of pushing our prices up because of subconscious programming, just, you know, the world that we live in, what our friends would say, what our family would say, all of this kind of stuff, right? So price is just mental. If you're struggling to put up your prices, there's a good chance that you don't believe in your service, or you haven't managed to kind of get around whatever limiting beliefs you have there as well. But pricing is just a mental game, right? And as I said at the start of this video, I still notice that I have these weird emotions or weird reactions around money sometimes, you know, and I say weird because I've made a lot of money for the last 5 years pretty much consistently. I live a really good life. I don't worry or stress for money. But there's still this almost negative association that comes up at times where there's kind of fear or worry or anxiety or panic for no logically good reason, right? But it's just there. And I'm very aware of it. I notice it. It doesn't stop me. Well, maybe it slows me down. Probably does slow me down to some extent. But generally, I'm moving with it and I'm dealing with it and I'm going forward. But a lot of people don't even think about that. They just have this fixed frame of reference of like, this is what something is worth. And, you know, anything above that is not fair or not right or whatever else as well. So pricing is all an internal thing. And if anything in this video made you go, what do you mean? This is crazy. Well, then that's just something you have to revisit yourself. And then finally, you will never believe in something that you don't do. And this is important because I see coaches all the time on social media talking about the importance of investing in yourself while also not investing in themselves. And this is going to be one of the hardest things for you to get past when it comes to pricing. Because if you want to charge more money, if you want to charge higher prices, if you want to attract better clients, if you want people to believe that coaching and spending a lot of money on coaching is a good idea, that will never happen if you do not do that for yourself. Okay, and I have been in mentorships the whole way up. I pay thousands of pounds or euros or dollars, whatever your currency is, every single year for mentorship, and that is what has allowed me to have consistent growth throughout the years, and in my new and current business, pretty rapid growth in its first year. That's because I've invested heavily, but also I am very comfortable with charging more because I am investing in myself. I am paying for the next level version of me. I am paying for knowledge or systems or frameworks or community and accountability that helps me to level up. And I can see the value of what I'm doing, and I see the value of what I'm learning, and I'm constantly learning, right? My coaching gets better every single day. My strategies get better every single day because I'm constantly leveling up and absorbing, and I'm paying for that. So it makes logical sense and emotional sense for me to then charge well to the people who I am coaching, the people who I am helping as well. So if you're struggling to get around pricing and charging yourself more, try actually investing in something that pushes you a little bit. And that will help you to kind of break through. And it will also give you a little bit of skin in the game to be like, right, I'm investing heavily into myself. That has to be reflected in my prices. So that's the final thing. If that was useful, hit the link, join my email list. I'll catch up with you there.